So we've reached the topic of dairy products. It's quite a serious subject for discussion. Why? Because it fundamentally changes the understanding of nutrition. According to the Vedas, it is predicted that when human degradation begins to fully develop, humanity will make two major mistakes that will significantly affect consciousness. And again, I repeat, the ages of our life in the universe, according to the Vedas, are like seasons. There are 4 ages like 4 seasons: spring, summer, autumn, winter. So there are 4 eras. We live in the last era when there's a strong degradation of consciousness. Not only on our planet Earth, but there's also degradation in the whole universe, at least up to the higher planets of the universe. This era started on Earth 5,104 years ago. It was predicted that the first clear sign that degradation had begun in full force is that people would stop understanding the effect of the subtle energy of food on consciousness. And they would generally stop understanding that there is a subtle energy body. When this knowledge of the subtle energy body was lost, people automatically lost the need to understand what conscience is. Because if there's no subtle energy body, it means there's no karma, meaning our actions aren't stored in our consciousness, because they can only be stored in the subtle energy body. The concept of conscience was lost. Conscience used to be the law. Just like the laws of physics, there were the laws of conscience. Now it's just an abstract concept that means nothing in life. There's no conscience. Well, nothing terrible. It seems like nothing terrible. People don't understand that it's a law. So we've entered a time when the knowledge of the subtle energy body is almost lost among people. And even if they've heard something about it or they discuss the topic, they often don't understand the idea of what the subtle energy body means. Thus, the first mistake humanity made is the mistake of preferring to count calories and nutrients. And they made the chemical impact the main factor of the food's influence, that is proteins, fats, carbohydrates, vitamins. Essentially, this means that the most beneficial product that exists on Earth is meat. Speaking from this point of view, because its composition of fats, proteins, and carbohydrates is very similar to the human body. In any meat, the characteristics are roughly the same. Well, they differ a bit in something, but overall, it's supposedly a very good opportunity to be healthy, so to say. And people started thinking like this about 3,000 years ago. Before that, there wasn't really such a thing as meat eating. It was sometimes just a ritual. Many saints would gather together. They would read prayers and place an animal in the middle, reading prayers over it. This animal would leave its body and was immediately sent to the higher planets of the universe, to the higher planets. And in fact, the meat of this animal simply became holy, meaning it turns out to be holy food. Because the animal is sent to the higher planets, the person who tries this meat is cleansed of sins. Imagine, it's a unique case. Only in this case does such animal meat really bring benefits, because the soul of the animal is sent to the higher planets. Even humans can't be sent to the higher planets. There, living beings experience happiness billions of times greater than we do, and life there is much longer, and so on. And animals have no chance of getting there. However, the animal gets there thanks to the fact that the saints gather and burn the animal's karma all together with certain prayers. And its bad karma ends. The animal leaves the body, and the soul goes along with the subtle energy body to the higher planets. However, later priests lost the knowledge about this, and they just started killing the animal, and it was believed to be done in the name of God. Though Jesus Christ came and said, "My Father sent me as a shepherd," meaning I am supposed to protect animals, and you should not kill animals. Killing animals was condemned even in Christianity at that time. And the first Christians were all vegetarians. Then they all got together and decided that they needed to eat meat for some reason. I don't know what influenced their decision, why they decided that. Anyway, the first Christians were vegetarians. There's historical evidence pointing to this. But not just Christians. In fact, practically all the population of Earth were vegetarians just 3,000 years ago. And as people lost this knowledge of the subtle energy body, they began to eat meat solely because this product is quite fulfilling and has many various necessary nutrients. Nowadays, if you tell most people that this product actually kills happiness, they think it's madness, because they will simply consider such words to be madness. Because everyone eats it and nobody has any problems. But in fact, the disease of the subtle energy body is different, because it has an unnoticed cause. I conducted such sessions before. Now a large hall has gathered for lectures, and when I started working with people, I conducted such sessions. I gathered everyone and told each one. People came, and I saw, for example, someone ate meat at such and such time, and the next day such and such thing happened to them. For example, their mood was ruined. I saw it on that level. I told them to link one thing to another and said, if you do the same thing tomorrow, you will have the same psychological state the next day. You will get nervous again, and so on. I did not immediately begin to see such patterns myself. I conducted healing sessions and noticed that some people healed quickly, while others very slowly. I didn't understand what was going on. It seemed like everyone was doing the same thing: ice baths, gymnastics, and so on. And it turned out some were eating meat while others weren't. So there was this pattern. It surprised me. Then I began to study it, and I saw this psychic energy of degradation that meat food causes in consciousness. It was very clearly visible, and when I saw this, I stopped eating meat. That was about 15 years ago. Yes, seems like it was about 15 years ago. Then I started to delve into this issue, and it was quite challenging for me to explain it to myself. Nevertheless, I refrained from consuming meat. And then when I encountered Vedic knowledge, I got a complete, comprehensive explanation. All the information about how animals' intestines are more similar to ours didn't satisfy me. Teeth like animals. We are more similar not to predators but to herbivores, and so on. Well, that didn't satisfy me either, because, well, teeth, intestines, what's the point in all that? The only thing I found convincing was that the soul... First, I learned that the subtle energy body never dies. That was news to me. That is, not the physical body, but the subtle energy body is immortal as long as it exists in the universe. The subtle energy body doesn't die. It remains with the soul. The subtle energy body includes the mind, intelligence, and emotions. In fact, we feel ourselves to be the same person in both the physical and the subtle energy body. Just through the physical body we connect. And it seems to us that without the physical body we can't live, see, or do anything. But many studies have shown that when a person passes away, they rise above their physical body in the subtle energy body and see it. How can they see? They don't have eyes anymore, they've died, right? They see in the subtle energy body, they hear in the subtle energy body, and so on. The same happens with animals. When an animal is killed, it experiences a terrible sense of injustice, because a sense of injustice is just a feeling. You don't need to think to feel it. Children feel a sense of injustice when they are bullied. They scream. Similarly, an animal, it doesn't want to die, it howls, makes sounds. And in this state of consciousness, the animal dies. We are most attached to our bodies. Look how precious even a tiny piece of a finger is to us if something suddenly happens to it. It's very, very precious. We are very much attached. And when the soul, along with the subtle energy body, leaves the physical body, it can't detach from it. And it wants to enter this body, but there's no possibility of living in it anymore. That is, the structure no longer allows it. And for about 40 days, the soul, along with the subtle energy body, remains near the physical body, trying to somehow revive its body. It has high hopes that everything will still be okay, although the body already starts to decay. And indeed, for both animals and humans, the sign of the body's decay signifies that the soul should already leave, abandon the body. When the soul abandons the body, no longer thinks of it, does not care for it, in principle, this body can be already consumed. But who would eat spoiled meat, tell me? Or, for instance, the same goes for an animal that dies a natural death. Would anyone eat it? An animal just died on its own. Would anyone eat it? No, but why? What's the difference? Was it killed or died a natural death? What's the difference? And there is a difference. The difference is that when an animal dies a natural death, the taste of the meat is not felt. People want the taste of violence from meat, and they feel happiness from it, but they themselves don't understand it. And when an animal dies on its own, it tastes completely different. There's no violence. However, even if we eat the body of an animal that died of natural causes, the soul is still hanging around, watching, and it's not pleasant for it to see its body being consumed. Nonetheless, it should be known that the soul of the animal that left the body experiences a very strong feeling of resentment, and this feeling of resentment gets embedded into the body. The subtle energy body still interacts with its physical body. And as long as the meat is fresh, there's a strong connection of the soul, the subtle energy body, with the physical body. And either we boil, steam, or fry this meat, it doesn't matter. If we even just touch the broth from this meat and put it in our mouth, it means that for this force of suffering, we start to be responsible. The animal accuses us of its death. Thus, a person constantly absorbs the animal's suffering along with the meat. What happens to one's life in this case? Their life becomes miserable. Constant quarreling, scandals, disappointment, misfortunes, despair. And if everything in life is good, if one's character allows it to be so, then it means there will be atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis is a disease directly linked to meat consumption. There's no other cause. Scientists try to invent one, but it simply doesn't exist. Because where people consume plant-based food, there's no atherosclerosis. It only occurs where meat is consumed. Even dogs were experimented on. When a dog is fed plant-based food, it doesn't suffer from atherosclerosis. When it's fed meat, the dog suffers from atherosclerosis. A dog, like a human, can suffer from vascular atherosclerosis. Do you know that dogs can be fed plant-based food? And they can live perfectly well eating bread. They can live like that with no problems. They become strong, robust. The whole problem lies in the fact that the subtle energy body of the mind constantly accumulates more and more of this energy of violence. And eventually it begins to operate with difficulty. Functioning becomes very hard. So a person who has eaten meat until around 45 years of age experiences a sense of sluggishness in the head, severe slowness, depression. And one thinks it's the blood vessels suffering, but the blood vessels aren't suffering yet. It's just that the mind has entered such a state. And then the whole body will start to deteriorate. Diseases will immediately come from all sides. This means that the mind can no longer control health. Also, the psyche of such a person becomes completely harmed. Just 1 year to a year and a half of stopping meat, fish, eggs consumption, and then everything is completely restored. Their health gets fully restored if they do it in time. If not, it will take them more time. So, the first Vedic prediction is this. People will stop understanding what constitutes sinful food, or dirty food, or ignorant food. And the biggest folly is that people, in addition to everything else, will also stop understanding what constitutes pure food. But first, people will start to affirm sinful food, and then they will reject pure food. According to the Vedas, the most pure food on earth is cow's milk. It does not contain even a hint of sin. Why? Because milk is intended for life. When milk matures, it embodies the cow's energy of love. The cow is the only pure animal on earth. There are no other pure animals on earth. According to Vedic knowledge, cows, this form of life, was not supposed to exist on earth. Cows were not meant to be on earth because they exist on higher planets. To prevent humanity from degrading, higher beings gave this animal to earth. What I've just told you may sound like fiction, but I'll prove to you with real-life examples that this is a fact. Cow products are unparalleled, meaning nothing can be compared to them. I've conducted experiments on myself and many others who I've treated. I've seen that this is true, and I see it now. And many of you starting treatment will see the same results. The second Vedic prediction states that people, having lost understanding of the subtle energy body, will reject dairy products and milk as healthy food and start considering them harmful. Many dissertations and other things will be written on this subject. That's what's happening now. Many people are absolutely convinced that milk is harmful to health. Raise your hand if you're convinced that milk is harmful. Don't be afraid, I won't bite. A couple of people raised their hands nervously. In fact, you should know that our scientists haven't even properly researched this matter. Why? Because cow's milk is not recommended for daytime consumption. It never has been. According to Ayurveda, it's a product linked with the moon's activity and is digested under the moon's influence. Therefore, it should be consumed after sunset or after the sun has passed its zenith, which is around 6 p.m. From 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. you can consume milk. According to the Vedas, milk is the only product that fully acts on the intelligence. There are two types of ojas or lunar energies, higher ojas and lower ojas. Higher ojas signifies the moon's psychic energy. This energy impacts the mind and intelligence. What does it do to the mind and intelligence? It brings the mind to a state of tranquility, peace, and calmness, and the intelligence enters a state of accumulating strength. This means the power of enthusiasm. The power of intelligence is the power of enthusiasm. So, a person who has strong enthusiasm in life has a strong intelligence. If enthusiasm is weak, intelligence is weak as well. According to the Vedas, milk enhances both the subtle energy power of the mind and the subtle energy power of intelligence. And no other product on earth affects intelligence as strongly as cow's milk. So, according to the Vedas, all those who wish to have strong intelligence should consume a small amount, half a cup of hot cow's milk at night. You can add spices like cardamom, fennel, and nutmeg. Mainly these three spices can be added. If you have insomnia, you can add cloves and allspice. So cow's milk. If you have an illness you can't cure because of lack of strength, your body is depleted. For many years you've been feeling your body is wasting away. It means that you lack an energy reserve. The energy storage in your body is very weak. The only way to replenish this storage is by consuming warm cow's milk at night. The most amazing thing is that it stays in the stomach all night, because it is digested very slowly, even by the moonlight. And this is not a bad thing. While in the stomach and intestines, it makes a connection with the moon. It strengthens the connection with the moon, and the body remains in a state of complete tranquility. Thus, processes of creation in the body are significantly enhanced. Lower ojas is also enhanced in the body. That is, all functions of all tissues and organs are also restored much stronger than usual. You just need to find the right dose. If a person drinks, say, a lot of milk, they increase mucus in the mouth and the tongue becomes coated. In the nose, in the eyes, mucus increases. If too little is consumed, one may experience cosmic dreams, a rush of hot blood, such nonsense. It indicates not enough milk was consumed. If the milk is well heated and the amount is just right, sleep will be sound, mostly dreamless. Or there may be some minor dreams in the morning. Or good blissful dreams, you won't dream anything bad. Cow's milk protects from the influence of spirits on consciousness, providing protection. Cow's milk is the only product that enhances the energy of love, purifies intelligence, and increases its strength. Therefore, according to Ayurveda, cow's milk cures all diseases. This doesn't mean you can cure everything with cow's milk alone, but 30% of disease treatment can be attributed to cow's milk, because it alone gives the strength to get healed. No other product on earth gives such strength, because cow's milk provides the most beneficial connection with the moon. No other animal's milk can do this. Milk itself signifies a connection with the moon. The lunar energy, feminine nature, the feminine energy of the moon means creation, synthesis in the body. There's also activity, which signifies the sun. Yet, it turns out that milk itself, though it's a lunar product, contains everything. And according to Ayurveda, just cow products are enough to cure any diseases that exist. You just need to know how to separate and mix the milk. That's the only question. Let's start from the very beginning. First thing we can think about is fermented dairy products. Yogurt and kefir are essentially the same thing. They're just milk fermented with lactic acid bacteria. Kefir is not made of pure goodness, it has a bit of passion. But this passion, mixed with goodness, increases our ability to take action on something. Often people believe that kefir and yogurt are not easily digested food. They think it overexcites the intestines, causing diarrhea and so on, and this is true. Because people simply don't know when and what time it should be consumed. People simply use this product incorrectly, so they think it's a bad product. However, one just needs to know when and what time to use it. Kefir by itself has a cooling effect. Therefore, we should drink pure kefir, say in the summer or late spring. But for most people, kefir is not suitable in winter. If kefir is fermented with lactic acid bacteria, then it is prepared in pure goodness. If it is fermented with bacteria, then it is prepared with passion. And it's even worse if it's fermented with a milk fungus. Milk fungus is something intended only for treatment. It shouldn't be consumed regularly. Milk fungus sharply increases immunity if you drink yogurt made from it. But this is only for the duration of treatment. If someone drinks it regularly, they become restless. Anxiety increases in character. This milk fungus is very passionate. It ferments milk quickly. Kefir becomes somewhat aggressive. The best way to ferment is with sour cream. 1 spoon of sour cream is enough for 3 liters of milk, heated, boiled, and cooled to a warm temperature. Then you add the sour cream, stir, wrap it up in something and leave it overnight. The next morning you'll have very thick kefir. Very thick, with a taste similar to sour cream. It tastes like sour cream diluted with water. It tastes exactly the same as this kefir. Who does this? Raise your hand. Isn't it delicious? This kefir can be drunk in winter, summer, autumn and spring. It doesn't have a cooling effect, it's the most nutritious and it tastes the best. It's better than all those store-bought yogurts and so on. You don't need any other starter than sour cream. In sour cream, naturally only good calories and bacteria remain, because the fatter the environment, the more beneficial bacteria can live in it. Therefore, you can make bread with such kefir. When the bacteria multiply, you can let it get a bit more sour and you can make bread. Bread made with these bacteria will have the properties of pure goodness. So, kefir always affects the nervous system. This product treats the nervous system in an amazing way. It regenerates nerve tissues. And it also affects prana. If a person practices pranayama, they should drink kefir to increase the strength of prana in the body. Pranayama signifies the gymnastics of prana, or the control of one's subtle energy movement within the body. It's through breathing exercises that such control is achieved. When one practices them, one should drink kefir. The best time to drink kefir is from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. It's the most optimal time. It can also be consumed from 3 to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Likewise, this sour cream-based kefir can be drunk early in the morning at 7 a.m., sweetened with honey, with fruits and dried fruits and sweet spices. We've discussed the time of the day, how to use dairy products and what time is best to use them. Each fermented milk product has a certain property of interaction with the nervous system, and therefore one fermented milk product is more suitable for one person and another is less suitable. Therefore, you need to find which suits you best. This is possible if you smell the fermented milk products in their dried form. You need to dry them on glass. You can dry kefir. Gradually scrape it off the glass and sort of sniff it. If it has a fresh, light, pleasant, cool scent, it means it suits you. If it's warm and unpleasant, as if rotten and so on, it means it doesn't suit you. We've also covered this classification in lecture, the connection of senses with a person's character. Next dairy product we will discuss is butter made from cow's milk. By the way, I forgot to tell you about all these fermented milk products. Sour cream treats hormonal functions. It's one of the best products for treating hormonal functions. And even better is natural whipped cream. Female hormones are maintained in balance thanks to sour cream and natural whipped cream. So, women who want to stay always beautiful and young should eat a little sour cream or naturally whipped cream every day, one of the two. Their health will immediately start to recover and hormonal functions will improve. It should be consumed during lunchtime from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's possible in the morning too, but not always beneficial. Better during the day. 2 tablespoons of sour cream is enough. That's a 100% guarantee. It can be eaten before or after meals, better after meals. Natural cream enhances hormonal functions, while sour cream normalizes them. They work a bit differently. Buttermilk is a product of whipping cream, resulting in butter and buttermilk. Buttermilk heals the entire digestive system, any organ of the digestive tract that is ailing. Absolutely any organ is healed by buttermilk. Moreover, functions will start to regulate. Decreased stomach acidity increases. Increased acidity decreases. Elevated liver functions decrease. Diminished ones increase. The same goes for the pancreas, intestines, and everything else you can check. It affects the entire gastrointestinal tract. If a person follows such a diet, whips butter at home every day, and drinks buttermilk on an empty stomach, if you practice buttermilk fasting, the digestive tract becomes very strong. It gives very good health. There's also whey. Whey is made when you squeeze lemon juice into warmed milk, stirring until it fully curdles into a protein mass. This protein mass can be strained, and then you can make cheese from it. There are recipes on how to even make cheese with holes. What remains after making cheese is called whey, and this whey is very beneficial. To fully prepare it, you need to add spices that suit you and salt. It should be consumed warm, just half a cup is enough. If you drink it with meals, it greatly enhances digestion and the ability to assimilate food. Whey is intended to boost digestion, activating the digestive organs. Cheese itself increases muscle strength. Any muscle tissues, say hernias, or conditions like muscle weakness, cheese gives strength to the muscles. It increases muscle tissue activity and strengthens the sheaths of nerve tissues. That's how cheese works. For example, the white and yellow matter in the brain is reinforced, it becomes stable, and inflammatory processes are reduced. Also, you should know that cheese is the most digestible product that gives physical and mental energy to a person quicker than other food. That is, it's absorbed faster than any other product. Meat can't even compare to cheese in terms of absorption. Meat contains fibers that need to be dissolved, which is a very long process. Cheese is dispersed because each particle of milk in cheese is coated with fat right from the start. When it reaches the stomach, it all immediately disperses, first swells and then disintegrates. And every tiny piece of cheese is absorbed and digestion starts very quickly. The same can be said about sour cream. Sour cream is also quickly absorbed, and it too contains fats, proteins, carbohydrates, and all essential amino acids, everything you want. Therefore, sour cream and cheese are the most nutritious foods on earth. They give strength to a person the fastest. They can be eaten practically any time from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Even until 8 o'clock in the evening, cheese with sour cream can be eaten. So we've covered fermented milk products. Also cottage cheese. Cottage cheese is a separate group of products. Cottage cheese cools down the body and intensely activates the nervous system, even more so than kefir. Cottage cheese also significantly increases the amount of prana in the body. If you constantly feel weak, you need to eat cottage cheese. Those who always feel cold should not eat cottage cheese in the morning during winter. It can be eaten at noon. It's best mixed with butter. Then it can be eaten, providing both strength to the nervous system and protection from the cold. In summer, cottage cheese can be eaten anytime from morning until evening. In summer, it strengthens the nervous system. If a person needs to have a very stable psyche, if one is overstressed, then cottage cheese protects against these problems, both physically and mentally. The next product is butter. Butter is a product that contains the purest fire energy on earth. What is the pure energy of fire? It's the energy that aids digestion in the best way possible. It's the energy that helps eliminate diseases in the body most effectively. It's the energy that best protects against the cold, from hypothermia. If you melt butter while stirring on low heat, a white sediment will appear at the bottom, and an amber-colored mass will remain above it. Drain this off, and you get clarified ghee butter. Ghee butter is a unique product, absolutely unique. It is suitable for absolutely everyone. If a person smells ghee and determines by its smell that ghee is not suitable for them, they should add a drop of it to their food or milk every night before sleep, drinking it with milk. Even better is to add clarified butter at lunch, and it will cure some disease. If it doesn't suit someone, it means they are suffering from something, and the clarified butter will heal that disease. Just need to add it in small amounts. There is such a phenomenon. In other cases, 99% of people feel that it suits them. And amazingly, you can cook food in clarified butter. It doesn't lose its beneficial properties when heated at high temperatures, whereas all other vegetable oils lose their good properties and become toxic when heated. Not that they become entirely toxic, but they're not very beneficial. Corn oil withstands heat better than, let's say, sunflower oil. The weakest is olive oil. It releases toxins very quickly, so it's better to add it to prepared food, not to fry in it. Similarly, with sunflower and corn oils, it's best to cook with clarified butter if possible. For this, it's best to make it yourself because then it will cost about the same as sunflower oil. If you prepare clarified butter yourself, its cost will be the same. Just need to make sure the cream hasn't been skimmed off the milk. Because often, at evening milking, they let the milk settle, skim the cream off the top and sell the rest. You need to find a farmer who doesn't skim the cream and sells milk with the cream. You can see how much butter you get from the milk. If very little, it means the cream was skimmed. Clarified butter is the best catalyst for treating all diseases related to the body's lower function, chronic inflammatory processes, lack of mental and physical energy, and a lack of immunity. There's a type of medicine in Ayurveda called Girya. Ki means clarified butter in the language of Sanskrit. These medicines, they all have the same base. The base is clarified butter. It means some herbs are added to the butter in small doses, they're powdered and mixed with this clarified butter, and the person sucks it in their mouth. If a herb slightly helps but cannot fully cure the person, yet it helps, it's very easy to increase the power of this herb tenfold. You need to mix it with clarified butter in certain proportions until the smell becomes fresher. That is, the herb powder is added to the butter and mixed until the smell becomes fresher. And then further, it should always be sucked in the mouth before and after meals. And this herb, it begins to have a strong effect on health. It can fully cure your disease that it helps you to cure. Clarified butter is the best carrier of all medicines, both for external and internal use. But also, you should know that clarified butter itself is a unique medicine. Why? Because if you have intestinal diseases, spine diseases, joint diseases, and at the same time, your blood pressure is not too high, if it does not increase, you can apply clarified butter on your wrists, up to the elbow, on your arms at night, and on your legs, from the knee to the shin. Apply it so that just the smell remains. In fact, half a teaspoon is enough for everything, even less. You apply a very thin layer and go to bed. And you will notice that after about 5 days, everything somehow begins to improve by itself. Spine pain decreases, joint pain decreases, appetite improves, mood gets better, and so forth. Ayurveda recommends that everyone living in very cold regions should at least apply a small amount of clarified butter before bedtime, at least on the wrists and shins, and your health will recover very quickly. Also, it should be known that clarified butter is actually the product that provides the best contact with the sun. Clarified butter contains only solar energy, and that's it. Thus, if a person lacks the energy to achieve their goal, they should consume more clarified butter, because in this case, their contact with the sun increases, and their ability to reach their goal increases. There will be more strength in life, more energy. You should know that if you make a candle wick with clarified butter and light it, just by looking at this flame that burns there, a person purifies their sense of sight. This means that looking at the people around them, They will not see negative character traits in them, simply by looking at this flame. Therefore, in Vedic culture, these wicks with clarified butter are made for worshipping God. First, this fire becomes holy, and then everyone looks at it and then touches body parts that are associated with the energy of fire. This is the forehead. It cleanses a person from anger when they touch their forehead. Then the heart area is also associated with fire, the top of the head and both eyes. When a person first touches the holy fire, then those body parts, one greatly influences their subtle energy body in this way. They cleanse themselves from the bad influence of people, cleanse themselves from negativity, negative thoughts about other people, and thus their mental strength increases. And immune strength is nothing but a person's fiery power. It's connected with the power of the sun. If a person simply applies clarified butter on their hands and feet, they could potentially recover from AIDS. Not immediately, but gradually their immunity will become strong, and they might even recover from AIDS with the help of clarified butter. But if they continue to gorge on meat and engage in debauchery, of course, inevitably, it won't help them. By the way, it should be known that there is such a thing as a past life test. What you were like in a past life, whether you had a good incarnation, a good birth or not. If naturally, from birth, a person doesn't like dairy products and milk, it means that they had an unfavorable birth in a past life. And how to change bad karma? For this, one needs to gradually get accustomed to dairy products. You need to gradually make yourself love them. You should try to eat them. If you eat a little bit of them at first, then gradually they are absorbed better and better. Eventually, they will be well absorbed. This means that the person is on the path of pure goodness. On the contrary, a strong love for dairy products indicates a favorable birth in the past life. What atmosphere does milk and dairy products provide? And what atmosphere does meat provide? I advise you to do the same thing I did. To tell you all this, I must be strongly convinced. I read and I liked it, I healed and I liked it, but it takes many factors to convince me. You need to see many things in your life to be convinced. And so I decided to conduct several lectures at a meat processing plant. I also started treating these people who worked at the meat processing plant. It turned out that about 80% of the women working there, mostly women worked there in the processing department and so on. The men who worked in the slaughterhouse didn't even come to talk to me because naturally they were in complete ignorance. Some women still came, listened, and it turned out 80% of them suffered from atherosclerosis starting from the age of 35. Moreover, out of 20 people who attended the lectures, 3 already had malignant tumors by that time. Malignant tumors began to appear. We found them in their bodies. This was caused by constant meat consumption, because naturally they ate what could be eaten, what was allowed. Because there, they were allowed to eat as much meat as they wanted, but couldn't take it home. Naturally, they ate as much as they wanted, as much as they could consume every day, and the result was this. At 35 years old, they already had terrible atherosclerosis, and not a single person told me they had a good life. And when I entered that territory, I just felt bad. And they complained to me too. Then I began conducting statistical surveys. It turned out that the most vacant position, the hardest labor, that is harmful production, was killing animals. Killing animals turned out to be harmful production. I asked, what is the harm? I was told that no one knows why, but in about 5 years, everyone who does this either becomes an alcoholic, goes insane, becomes a drug addict, or ends up in jail. 5, 6, 7 years, and that's enough. Why does this happen? It seems that the person isn't doing anything bad, as they say. Yet, the result is such. At least this is what I observed in Togliatti. Those were the statistics there. These statistics can be studied in other places. Right now, I can't speak about all such enterprises. So, I did the same kind of tour at a dairy plant. The situation was directly the opposite. When I went there, I felt lightness, I felt good. People were smiling a lot. There were very few sick among them. They were all satisfied, happy. There was a very good atmosphere, a good team. Everyone was laughing. There was a lot of laughter indeed. You can compare the sellers who sell meat to sellers who sell dairy products. If dairy products used to be sold separately, now everything is mixed together with cigarettes. Cigarettes and milk are sold together, plus some pharmacy items. It's all mixed up. It's impossible to understand what people want by what they do. They just make money, and that's it. Therefore, there's no morality people don't understand. So, you can study for yourself even by looking at someone who sells only milk. You'll see the difference between them and those who sell meat. Even the line for dairy products is different from the line for meat. But now there are no lines. I used to observe it when there were lines. So, clarified butter is the best product for purifying a person's energy of fire and for establishing a connection with the sun. If you want to achieve success in society, in life, to be respected, if you want to have a strong immune system, if you want to have good digestion, good absorption of nutrients, then you must eat clarified butter every day at lunch. If you are very cold, have sore joints and spine, aches throughout the body, you have migraines and headaches, then you should definitely eat clarified butter at night, suck on it in your mouth before going to bed. This is especially recommended for women who suffer from migraines. They can cure their migraines so easily. If your blood pressure rises, then clarified butter can be smeared on the skin of your left arm and left leg. Do not apply it on the right side of the body. If your blood pressure is very low, then to increase the pressure, it is enough to smear it on the skin of your right arm and right leg at night. The pressure will then increase. Digestion will improve in the same way. Digestion doesn't mean you will get fat. Digestion means assimilation of food. Food will be better absorbed. The next cow product is cow manure. Although you don't consider it a cow product, I do. Not in the sense that you need to eat it, but in the sense that it can be very useful in many issues that we will now discuss with you. According to the Vedas, cow's milk, cow's clarified butter, and cow's manure are the purest products on earth. Including cow manure, pay attention to it. This phenomenon is still unknown to anyone, why this happens. However, if you wash your apartment with cow manure, then there will be no evil spirits left there at all. The presence of spirits means a bad mood, a bad smell in the apartment, also bad dreams, and a feeling of some other influence on oneself. This means the presence of spirits. When the whole apartment is washed with cow manure, just a small pinch of manure is enough for a bucket of water, then you will not feel that smell there that you're thinking about now, but you will feel the smell of freshness. You will feel as if it is very fresh and easy to breathe. Someone once approached me with a request to help. It was difficult for people to sell those apartments in which other people lived. People did not agree to buy if old people lived there and so on. And in this company, they started washing apartments with cow manure before selling, and things went well for them. People come in, there is no bad smell, everything is clean and good. They breathe easily, as if no one lived in this apartment. And they started selling apartments left and right to everyone, as if they were new, no matter who lived there. This is how it happens. In the same way, clothes after another person can be worn only if they are washed with cow manure. Even if the owner died, it doesn't matter. All their power of influence on these clothes is completely destroyed. You should also know that when you eat, subtle energy remains on the plate, despite the fact that it is washed with water. Subtle energy body and subtle energy smell of warmth, so this plate will have a warm smell. If you wash it with cow manure and smell it, the smell of the plate will be fresh. This means that it is no longer befouled, then you can eat from it. Therefore, according to the Vedic tradition, plates are washed with cow manure. To use cow manure for such purposes, you need to be convinced that the fly has not yet settled there. If it is very fresh, still hot, it is more likely a fly won't risk. Therefore, it is best to take very hot fresh manure. What should you do with it? You can dry it, it will become powder, then it doesn't have an unpleasant smell at all. And it can be used both in treatment and in cleaning the kitchen and washing dishes. According to the Vedas, this is the only thing that destroys the influence of spirits to that extent. Therefore, all altar rooms in India are washed only with cow manure as well as bull manure. It is the same. They don't use anything else, meaning you just need to wash the altar room only with this product. And before the deity is installed for worship, it is also wiped with cow manure. Then they wash it off only after that, when it's free from spirits. You can believe that God will be present there, and not the spirits. So, you should also know that cow manure is the best cooling remedy for the body. And since allergic diseases also arise as a result of improper influence of the sun on the body, that is, bad fire, cow manure therefore reduces and relieves allergic attacks. It can relieve attacks of bronchial asthma if you use it correctly. Let's say the first phalanx of the thumb, you can rub cow manure on it, on your left hand, just on your left hand, and then an attack of bronchial asthma can be relieved. One starts breathing easily immediately. You should know that when there is a serious injury, especially to the skull, if hands and feet are thickly smeared with cow manure, then in this case the person will avoid any particularly severe complications associated with the brain. Brain swelling decreases immediately. I had a case where I saved a person's life in this way twice. One child was hit hard, he had a concussion, he lost his vision and was becoming weaker. Before our eyes, his breathing was becoming slower and slower. He was unconscious. I smeared him with cow manure. This was in India. And after 5 minutes, he was already completely conscious and his vision was restored. And when the ambulance arrived, his parents refused to give him to them. Where did I apply it? I covered his hands and feet completely with cow manure, and that's it. And by reflex, the brain immediately cooled down, meaning the swelling of the brain subsided right before our eyes. It was visible how the swelling of the brain, meaning a certain hyperemia of the face, swelling of this place, blueness. All this immediately disappeared from his face. I just applied cow manure, and that was it. The result was amazing. The second time, when one person fell unconscious in a hot summer in India, there was cow manure nearby. I immediately took it and smeared onto him. If it had been a Russian man, he would have chased me later. And this person got sunstroke. This man could actually die, because it was 55 degrees in the sun. One wouldn't even have time to carry that man away. If one carried a little, they would have overheated themselves. There, you have to take very short walks along the street at this time, in the summer. A man fell, I applied cow manure to him and dragged him under cover. While I was dragging him, he already regained his consciousness, looked at himself. Indians are so calm. He looked at himself, looked at me, paid his respects and left. That's it. It was enough for him that manure had been applied. Did I apply it on his head? I said arms and legs. I had one patient I used to treat with herbal bandages, and one patient came for treatment. She says, I want to treat my vision. I say, I treat with herbal bandages. She asked, really? How can I walk with them? But I didn't understand right away. I said, well, like everyone else, take 2 bandages, put them on and walk. She says, 2? I say, yes. She, and it will help? I say, yes. Russian people agree to everything. She thought a little and said, well, okay, I agree. And I said, what's the problem? She says, well, I don't know. Well, it's hard to walk like that with blindfolds over your eyes. I say, well, okay then. This was getting funny. I say, then 1 bandage. Do you agree with me? She says, I agree. And when I prepared the herbs and started putting it on her head, all the patients there burst with laughter. But she didn't understand anything. She was ready to be treated. People sincerely think that the herbs only work where you apply them. Therefore, when Kasparovsky, extrasensory healer, treated through TV, hemorrhoids were treated in the same way. They applied it to the TV. Thus, they treated their doctor very respectfully. It was a sign of the highest respect. And in fact, you should know that the herb applied to the wrists and shins. Wrists and shins are areas associated with the sun. The herb treats the entire body at once. No need to apply it to the eyes. So, cow manure, clarified butter, fermented dairy products. To this, you should add the milk itself. If you dry it all together, then you can prepare yourself a unique medicine that will treat you in all aspects. According to the Vedas, there are several institutes that deal with and treat only with these products of the cow. Not in the sense of cow meat, but cow waste. And they're so successful that there is no end to visitors. This is a very effective treatment. I myself have personally experienced this in my life, and I personally use this treatment. I believe that this is a unique treatment available to every person. You just need to not be lazy. The only condition is not to be lazy, because sometimes you are too lazy to do all this, what I am going to tell you now. In order to establish a balance of the strength of fire energy in the body, it is enough to have double milk mixture or cow mixture. This mixture consists of cow manure powder, dried cow manure powder, and clarified butter. Clarified butter, when you smell it, you will feel a warm, hot smell. You add cow powdered manure until the mass begins to smell fresh, as if there is no heat. And the smell of butter disappears, and there is no smell of cow manure, it just smells fresh. Most often it turns into a black paste. Place this paste in a plastic bag, sealed on 3 sides. A small amount, about the size of a teaspoon, is enough. Seal it and make 4 sachets like this. It's very easy to seal with an iron. Make 4 sachets and tie them to your wrists and shins with a piece of cloth and go to bed. What will be treated in this case? If you do exactly as I say, your mental state will be restored. Blood circulation in the body will improve and digestion will improve. Moreover, you will not feel tired, that is, you will always feel cheerful. And this mixture greatly increases human immunity. In general, it improves blood circulation and nervous system activity. This is a general strengthening mixture, it doesn't affect anything specifically. But you can also make a triple milk mixture. Triple milk mixture treats severe diseases. It's just much more difficult to prepare. I'll explain now. The most difficult thing is to choose a fermented milk product. You need to take all the types of yogurt that you know. But they should differ greatly in taste from each other. There should be no fruit mixed in there. Next, take sour cream, natural whipping cream, whey, buttermilk. And dry it all on glass in small quantities. In very small quantities, a teaspoon of this mixture is enough. Take a small container and wash it well. Fill these containers with these different components. You can also use Circassian or Dutch cheese, so that different types of cheese are also present. Then make a powder out of this, so that it has the consistency of a powder. Then smell them all, and wherever the smell is light, fresh, pleasant, cool, it's like a classification by smell. We have a whole lecture on this topic. Where there is such a smell, you immediately put this container to the side and dry this product in large quantities. In general, you can have this milk diagnostic kit in your freezer at home, and it will function flawlessly for 5 years. There will be no problems. The containers must be tightly closed to prevent moisture from entering. Next, you take clarified butter. The best part is the topmost part, the most concentrated part of the melted butter. And you also take dried cow manure powder. It doesn't matter which cow, calf or bull. Overall, there is not much difference. And you first start adding clarified butter to this cow manure. Take a small amount of clarified butter. You don't need to take a lot. Otherwise, you may not have enough milk mixture, since you can't dry a lot of it. Add it there until the smell of butter disappears and a completely neutral smell appears. It will turn into a red or white mass. Next, you pour cow manure powder into it until the smell becomes fresh. And it turns out to be a gray mass. Most often it turns out thick. Also seal this mass in sachets. You can seal it in sachets immediately before use and apply it to your wrist and shins, to these areas. This mixture will treat everything that is bad in your body, from psoriasis, allergic diseases, joint diseases, spine diseases, poor digestion, and ending with the most severe metabolic disorders. This is an amazing medicine, an amazing treatment. The only condition is that a person has to choose it on their own. No one else can do it. It won't be suitable for anyone else. It won't help. You need to slowly sprinkle it and smell it constantly. It's very easy to achieve the effects that I told you about. It's not difficult, really. Any disease you can think of is treated with the triple milk mixture. However, if the body has tuberculosis and very weak immunity, then a quadruple mixture is needed. This means using powdered milk. In this case, milk powder is first added to the clarified butter until the smell becomes slightly dry. The smell of butter will disappear and the smell will become dry. Then add a fermented milk product that suits you. The smell will become neutral. Next, you add cow manure until the smell becomes fresh, cool, pleasantly fresh. Fresh means how you breathe in the morning. It becomes easy to breathe with this smell. Warm, you know what it is. Clarified butter has a warm smell on its own. This mixture will also act by strongly stimulating the immune system. But you shouldn't wear this mixture all the time. The previous mixture can be worn at night every day. Nothing bad will happen. But this mixture cannot be worn constantly. You'll need to do a course of treatment for 2 weeks. This treatment will be like an explosion to the body. The temperature will rise a little, the body will become active, life will flare up in it. Also, pure clarified butter can be used to treat migraines. If you apply it to the nasal canals on both sides and the mucous membrane of the ears. It is also an effective way to increase blood circulation in the brain. If one has migraines or cerebrovascular malfunction, decreased cerebral circulation, then apply a thin layer to the nose canals and the mucous membrane of the ears. No need to fill the ears with butter. You should also know that urine treatment can also be good. In general, it is believed that treatment with urine is befoul treatment. It is degrading. If a person is already very sick, is already dying, may die, then the Vedas recommend urine therapy as a last resort. This is described in Ayurveda. Drinking your own urine for the purpose of healing is possible only when there is no other remedy left for treatment. Because if a person is treated with this urine, nothing else will help them, that's all. One can recover and then gradually reduce the dose of urine to get rid of its influence. While one is drinking it, one is in degradation. Their intelligence is completely befouled and is unable to understand how to live correctly and everything else. This treatment is in degradation. However, when a person drinks cow urine, the intelligence does not enter a state of degradation. The state of degradation does not arise. If you boil cow urine and mix it with boiled water, 2/3 water and 1/3 cow urine, then you can sip it throughout the day during a fasting day. This is the most effective way to cleanse the body. Everything is cleansed at once. All organs of the body are cleansed, not the liver, the kidneys separately, but all at once. And such fasting days with cleansing by the means of cow urine should be done no more often than once a month. And you should know that there is a type of treatment before marriage ceremonies, before burial, that is in cases when a very pure consciousness is required. There is a method for quickly clearing consciousness that will seem very strange to you. A fermented milk product such as clarified butter is used, then cow manure, cow urine and fresh milk are added. All this is mixed in certain proportions and the person swallows a little. The consciousness is immediately cleared. This can be done no more than 2 times a year. Not much, a few sips only. Such a mixture tastes bad, but it brings such clarity to the head. What are the proportions? I can't tell the proportions right now. I don't advise you to do this. You need to have knowledge to do it. As for cow manure, I called it herb number 1 when I treated people with herbs, because people were afraid of this word and did not agree to be treated. In microdoses, cow manure has enormous healing power and has a colossal anti-inflammatory effect. If you pour a little bit, literally about 1 gram, into the mixture and stir, then the anti-inflammatory effect increases by a 10-fold. This is an established fact.